session. I hope you are all well. May I have one of you on mute and respond like we always do, so we are sure that you can hear, and then I take off. Angela Poco, can you hear me? Bigelafo, Daniel Ofori, Deborah Dankwa. Am I audible?
Yes, please.
Yes, please,
Yes,
madam.
Yes, please, we can hear you.
That's fine. Thank you very much. First of all, let's find out if you have any questions you want us to thrash out. Keep your hand up if you have questions, quickly. Any questions, please? All right, so I don't see any hand up yet. When it shoots up in due course, we'll pick all the questions. I want to engage you on the PHCL paper. I'll mute you all, avoid interruptions, and then I'll unmute later or allow you the possibility of unmuting to ask your questions. For now, I'll keep you muted. Unfortunately, I have to do a monologue so that you can hear. And after everything, we'll take your questions, okay? So bear with us, and then write down the questions if you have them. If we keep it such that you are able to unmute yourself, then folks sometimes unmute and it's a bit disruptive. This is a new topic too, so I want to help you get the thrust of the matter. Then we can deliberate a bit more, okay? Unlike the previous content. So we are all muted. You can't unmute until we make some good headway. Now the topic 2 on which your group work that you are currently grappling with is what? The problems of philosophy lecture. Lecture content proper is lecture 2, but you know that this will be our third content together. Reality versus appearance. And we are looking at that discussion from Russell's viewpoint, not from Plato. We have done Plato in level 100, some more of Plato and others in level 200 first semester, where we did our element of formal logic second semester. We are now, hey, this is level 200. So we are now doing our second contact with Plato. I always take it to be level 300. All right, so we are looking at Russell now, but you have already seen Plato, his world of forms, appearance versus reality, you know, the idea of beauty being the perfect, you know, original, what have you, versus an appearance of it, which is sensory within our physical world, etc., etc. That was Plato contrasting two worlds, one of which he thinks is the actual world, the reality, while the other is an appearance of it participating in that form of reality. So the particular beautiful sister for Plato is an instance of the idea of beauty. The reason why you see a sister and say, wow, she's so pretty, according to Plato, is because when you see the physical, temporal, you know, sister with that beauty, you can now remember and connect this object, physical object you see, with the abstract, non-tangible, if you like, concept of beauty. So the concept beauty, the idea beauty, the form, capital F, form beauty, doesn't change. It is fixed. But remember that this sister, the particular instance of a sister you saw, who is beautiful, could some few years to come become grandma. And our grandmas are beautiful, but some of you would think of grandmas all wrinkled up and all broken, and she's holding a stick and shaky and all that. She's no longer participating in that beauty that you saw earlier, because the physical beauty for person that is a particular example. Example can change, can be destroyed, can all the other features. These are all Plato's distinction between what is real, it is what appears to be real, reality versus appearance. What then is Russell doing? Russell's paper, if you engage it, I shared it because it's accessible to us, is engaging a simple matter in his bid to help, if you like, resolve what he calls problems of philosophy that perhaps may not have arisen if we had a certain frame from start. Take note that the question Russell engages is question of whether what is experienced, please look on the screen wherever you are, if you are listening to, because I'm projecting whilst I speak, so you get the connection. Is what is experienced the same as what is there, That's what Russell seems to be engaging in that paper. It's what is experienced, what I experience. It's the same as what is there. So you will see that experience from level 100, experience is dealing with what? Sensory knowledge, the five senses: seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, smelling, giving us knowledge. So we gather knowledge from our five senses. That's experiential knowledge versus the one that we call the knowledge acquired by reason, not by mind or intellect. We're not talking brain. We have established that. Now, our friend is asking, when we experience something, so when we use our five senses to gather some information, does it necessarily represent what is actually there, or it is our perception? So when I feel the table's surface, and I think it is hard, the texture is hard. Remember, we are coming from Locke and Berkeley's discussions. Don't forget, it is a train. So these are trains of thought. I'm building them up that way so you can easily relate from where we are coming from, where we are. Remember, a tree falling over in a distant island uninhabited. Would that tree make a sound? What would that the sound be? Will it be loud? How would that be if there's no sensor? There's no human being to sense it. There is no knowing mind to sense it. Can there be a sound, whether loud or low? Can there be a taste, whether bitter or sweet, if there is no taster? So from that is when we built on our the discussion on Berkeley's secondary ideas versus Locke's both secondary and what primary. Berkeley comes and dissolves all into one and says there's no point having secondary and primary qualities. They are all, by this language, they are all secondary because they all depend on an observer, blah, blah, blah. That is what we are building on. We are now looking at Russell, but Russell seems to be engaging that question of what reality versus appearance. Before long, we will get to the discussion on Locke and Berkeley. It will sip in, and you see that is what he thinks is the trust of the matter. Okay? So it's a build-up. That is why today is your first time in the course. However that came up, you may not get most of the things you are doing today. So you'll have to engage the previous sessions I've had with the class and build on it here. So the few of you, the one or two fools that have now joined your class, you won't be able to grasp the content here easily if you haven't had the discussion on all the way from Descartes' mind-body problem that we engage equationalism, what have you, on which you've done some assessments and have reopened. Then to the idealism proper as a response to the problem, and even to investigate what the idealism discipline philosophy is. We looked at Locke, we looked at Berkeley. We want to look Russell's question, which is on the screen now, is what is experience the same as what is there? Suggests that we are straddling epistemology and metaphysics. You should know that epistemology is engaged in the question of knowledge, knowing how we know, what we know, the grounds for our knowledge, blah, blah, blah. Whilst metaphysics grapples with what is there, what really exists. So if you ask the question, is what is experienced the same as what is there? Russell points out that you are not asking a merely epistemological question, neither are you asking a merely or a simply metaphysical question, but your question straddles the epistemology of metaphysics. See, you are asking about the knowing of what? Reality. Take note that if it is an experiential knowledge, a sensed knowledge, this is all Russell is saying. I'm trying to capture it in a simple term, in simple terms, then we can engage. If the knowing is experience, sourced from experience, if that knowledge is acquired by experience, then it is my eyes in simple language, my eyes, my ears, my mouth that will do the taste, my arms that will do the feeling or touching, and whatever. What's the other one? So seeing, hearing, touch, and the smelling, my nose. My ears will hear, my eyes will see. So if I see it to be X, my seeing of it cannot be your seeing of it, even if we are all supposedly observing the same thing. My feeling of the seat, we saw all this in Berkeley and Russell, excuse me, and Locke. So I'm pointing them out so we can now fill it in and open the discussion up. Okay, my feeling of it is relative to me and that object. So let's use, and he uses that, a simple table. Those who have read the text. When I am sitting in that room and I move around, depending on the angle I am to the table, I'll see the shape differently, even the size. So at one side, at that one corner of the room, the fixed table standing there may seem to be rectangular in shape. That's the size. The next minute, it might look obtuse. The next minute, it might look cylindrical if I were hanging high up there in the roof somewhere. But it's supposed to be the same table, but the shape will change. That means even I myself, alone in that room, could have different point of views. You saw that phrase in the text. Point of views of the supposed size of the supposed table. I say suppose because there might not even be a table after all, a physical table. It might be an imagination. It could be a hallucination. It is still so real to me that I could run out when I'm in the room. I say there's a rat, and I run. Meanwhile, there might not be a physical, tangible rat out there, but there might be a rat in my mind, which is so real. That's why the phrase will say, even if there's a real table after all, because it might not be. Someone is in the church, he says, I've seen God. The Son of Man says, come, receive the bread of life. I see him. You say he's mad. What if he says it, but what he's seeing is not physical, but he can see it? So you cannot deny the reality of something because you can see it physically. That is why Russell is playing a middleman, trying to get the argument of both, if you like, Locke, not directly them, but their position. He's trying to get the argument of Locke, defend it, and show where it has a weakness. Then he will get the argument of Berkeley, defend it, but show where it is weak. And then now he makes a prognosis and suggests a way forward. That is what the Russell paper is doing, showing that insofar as we are looking for the certainty of what? Of knowledge. See, certainty is a question of reality, what it is really. It's a certainty. It's a question of certainty. It's metaphysics. You are looking for the certainty of a physical object. Remember, he said a thing that is sensed. So we are dealing with sensory, knowledge that is sensed, seeing, hearing, touching, tasting. Okay. Now, if I want to know what its true nature is, the true nature of the table is, the true nature of the chairs in terms of texture, color, taste, what have you. Is the orange really sweet? Or it is my tasting of it. So I feel it to be sweet. Do I taste it to be sweet? Is the sofa chair really smooth? Or I feel it to be smooth? Is it really hot this afternoon? Or it is I am the one feeling the weather to be hot. Okay, so that's what we get from Berkeley. Now I won't stretch it further. Now Russell's answer is, if you say you feel the table to be smooth, no one can contend with you. I can't argue and insist that's for me. I feel it to be rough, so it is rough. If I feel it to be rough, I can say I feel the table to be rough, and that is mine. The problem will be when I say I feel it to be rough. The table is rough. Therefore, see, I feel it to be rough. Therefore, I conclude it is rough. I feel it to be rough. So I say, therefore, it is rough. The feeling of it to be rough is your knowledge of its sensory knowledge. I know it to be rough. When you jump from that and say, therefore, it is rough, you have gone beyond knowledge. You are speaking metaphysics. You are making a claim of the thing's nature. No longer a claim of your knowledge of it, but now a claim of what the thing's actual nature. Which Russell says, you do not have the warrant to jump from your feeling of it your tasting of it. In other words, the data you gather when you taste it, what you think of it need not represent what it is in reality. On what grounds do you say that? When there are different points of view. When you think of, so now let's put some substance to it to help you understand. Then we come back to the actual discussion again. Okay. The fact that you see your neighbor to be very rude, or you see your neighbor to be whatever. Give me the guy. Let's use the guy. You see the guy to be so what's the profile? Disoriented. He doesn't seem to have any vision in life. This guy is serious at all. He's wasting my time. You see him that way. Another person may see him to be, wow, this guy is really, really serious about life. Because he won't use his money to do certain things. He's farming. He's putting his student loan into farm, small farm. While he buys some small book and copy and read and search and research and move back. He's using the money to do that. So you think he doesn't look serious at all. And another person says, this guy is serious. Who is right and who is wrong? Okay. There were certain examples I used in class. When I meet you in person, we can trash them out. I think about the guy that you may think to be so rowdy and rough. Like I said in the previous videos, lectures, that when people come into your office and then maybe your phone is missing, your perception of the people that came may be built on how you saw them dressed up or something. You will never think of one. So say two people came in, your suspicion is always on the other person who came in a certain way. You think, oh, the phone this person was about. It's your view of the person, which is fine. You are entitled to that. I can't change your view because there has to be reasons why you have that view. But when I have a view of the person, and then I say, therefore, what I think of the person is what the person is. You see, Russell's argument is you have jumped from your knowledge, sensory knowledge here, okay, of the thing, to say that therefore the thing is like that. And Russell said that is what is generating the contention. The folks are confusing or they are mixing up, that's the word, they're putting everything together. Knowledge of something with what? The thing's nature. Russell says, as for the thing's real nature, we may never know it. We may never know it. We'll read together before I walk through. So if it is the thing's real nature, Charlie, we may never know because anytime it is known, it will be tied to the one who knew it. It will be tied to a knowing mind. So here he will agree with Berkeley. Whether the size of the shape or the texture is relative to the mind that is doing the knowing. I hope you get it. Don't respond because I won't hear. You are muted. But think about it. Earlier, Locke would say, oh, as for the secondary qualities, that one would depend on a knowing mind for us to describe what its real nature. It will always be connected to a knowing mind. That's Locke, trying to help us distinguish one from the other. So he says the primary ones there, it will not, even when there is nobody knowing it. No, in other words, nobody seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, smelling. We will still know the true nature of it. So the shape of the field, Sabbath field, I said that earlier, doesn't depend on my viewing it, my going around it, my seeing it. No. It will have its nature, whether it is viewed by an observer or not, whether there is a sensor or not, whether there is a mind or not. It will have a fixed shape, size, or the position, says John Locke. So he calls those qualities what? Primary qualities. However, the color of it or the temperature of the field, or if the field had a taste at all, like the sand on that field, according to Locke, that would be called what? Secondary qualities. And therefore, they would depend on who is observing. Then Berkeley comes to tell him, don't tell me those things. All of them depend on the mind that is doing the what? Observing. The mind that is doing the knowing. So the shape, the size, the texture, but also what? All the other ones that Uncle will call what? Primary are included. Position. Position is counted per the person. So if you are counting from the back, the position of that same thing may be second. If you are counting from the front, the position might be ninth. It depends on which direction you're coming from. So Barkley comes and says even position, size, the size which is supposed to be fixed regardless of who's observing, the size may be obtuse for one person sitting here, but for the other person, the angle may be a rectangular shape. Okay? Even the color, the reflection of light per the person, you yourself, when you move around, that same thing may change colors depending on your relation to the object. I told your friends jokingly in class, the same guy who rub your back and you say, oh, Kofi, stop, and you're enjoying it. That same guy, the next day when you rub the same place, because you found out that he was playing around with you get angry. So is it the arm that is causing the anger, or it is your relation to the arm that is rubbing at that time? That's the point. Even taste, touch, taste differently, and all that we heard from Buckley, as he was trying to diffuse the supposed distinction between what primary and secondary qualities. Now, Russell comes in and he's trying to make those same argument, but he agrees to an extent with the case that, look, so when it comes to knowing, we can't argue about it. He's telling Locke, or the Lockean view for now. Okay, that what? That you cannot say they are primary and secondary or whichever. They are all relative to the knowing mind. It will seem as if then that, Russell is being idealist, strict and consistent idealist, like Buckley. But he's speaking only in terms of what? The knowing, knowledge. Because it will be my eyes, it will be my ears, it will be my mouth, it will be my arm. So I will do the feeling of it. I will do the hearing. That is how come the same music sound that is coming out. For one person, it's pleasant. I mean, he's jumping his head over it. For another, it's so noisy. The head is raking up. That is the same sound. Yet relative to the person, one thinks it's a nuisance. The other one is enjoying it. Once it's even in the earphone on his head alone, and it is not loud. Why? Because sound is also relative. Okay, so if we got all that, Russell says, whenever we are knowing, knowledge will be tied to a knowing mind. However, his problem with Buckley too will be this. So he has finished telling Locke that don't try and make a fuss out of it. You can't have some knowledge that is independent of a knowing mind. When we are dealing with what? Sensory objects. That's what it states in his text. If we take any object of the type that is known by the senses, that's how it takes off. If you haven't looked at the text reference I gave you, you will struggle. You will struggle, but these are metaphysical notions. You have to read the text, then can that help you understand? So friends, go to resource 2 if you haven't looked at it. I suppose not. I think most of you have because of the group work. But read it, then I'm referencing things to help you. Okay. So if you went there and it is an object that is the type that is sensed, like a table, like a chair, like a car, etc. I mean, physical object. Russell says, anytime we know it, it means it will go through the 5 senses. Then that knowing will be tied to a knowing mind. That simply means whoever is doing the knowing will determine the quality of that object. So if I touch it, the fire that you are running away from it, the designer system. You want the wachi, but you don't want the fire that is cooking the wachi. So you are going, but Madam Tobo, take your time. The thing is burning. The woman selling it is standing by it from morning till evening. No break. She doesn't even feel the heat. The same fire. But you come there, stand there 5 minutes for it to be packed for you. A little wind blows it this way, and you say, hey, what are you doing? You don't want to burn me. But the woman is standing by that same thing. Those who play instrument, a stringed instrument, look at what happens to your thumb sometimes. But you play it some play it every day, some at least every 2-3 days, some every Sunday. They are playing at church or someplace. But that same string, some of us, when we touch it even 2 seconds, we will get bumps in our palms. But you are playing it all the time. It doesn't feel hurt. You don't feel the hurt because it is relative to the person. Okay, so that point is made. That is the knowing of it. So one will say this is very hard. The other person will say it's soft. One will say this is sweet. The other person will say it's not sweet. However, Russell goes further, this time against Buckley. It says, you cannot infer from the relativity of knowing, if you like, and conclude therefore that so reality, this time not knowledge of the thing, but its real nature is also what? Relative. That is the mistake Russell finds with what? Berkeley and his folks, the consistent, if you like, idealists who insist that reality is nothing other than what? Mind and the ideas we have in it. If you say that the real table there is exactly what I think of it, its smoothness, its size, its shape, is my interpretation of it. Russell says you've gone beyond knowledge. Now you are imposing what you know of a thing onto its what? Reality. So people go and God reveals himself to them as the God who answers by fire. And they think God is fire. But God could be a dove. Oh, yes. So you see what has been revealed to you. These things are very substantive things. So it's just that you are teaching it philosophy. So you want to extract, give the abstractions. Then when you finish and put concreteness, you will see. You are living with a person. You think the person is X, Y, or Z, and your interpretation of the person, you think that's who the person is. Who told you that the person cannot do your what causes this one? Problems of philosophy. So the person is worthless. It's a joke. That's what you think of it. Go and see the person cutting, clothing, designing. One dress can take the person international. One football play can buy the person a house. What they have? Which you if let's take out from now to 1,000 years ago, you can't buy the house that one footballer's leg can buy. The point I'm making is the worth of a person, what a person is made of, the nature, that is now I'm putting concreteness, okay? The nature of a thing, its reality cannot be defined by how it appears to you or how you perceive it. Okay, so back to the table. So Russell's query that he's giving to Berkeley and his idealist folks, proper idealist position, is this, that you may be entitled to the claim that knowing is always tied to a knowing mind. No one should contest that. It can be easily contested. However, you cannot conclude from this premise that whatever we know will always be tied to the knower. You can't conclude from there and say, therefore, the reality of the thing we know is also dependent on what? How I saw it. Reality is not knowledge. One is metaphysics, the other is what? Epistemology. So we may know and think that if you got sickle cell, for example, in the past, we thought we knew that if you got sickle cell, you would die at 80 years. That's what we knew. Was that the reality? Now at least we know it wasn't the real, because people live beyond that. If we have factors X, Y, or Z added, person takes folics, eats greens, that takes care of themselves, you live. So what you think you know cannot be imposed on the reality. Reality is still revealing itself. And I even went further to say, in fact, sometimes there might not even be a physical reality. People jump their house building, they will be running away. You look around and there's nothing. I told the main campus folks, when the Nebuchadnezzar's son was eating with the folks there, they were all drinking and doing cheers. But the guy could see a hand, a finger right on the wall. Did they see? When Uncle saw Ken Paul, New Testament, those who want to know this, just Google. I want authoritative references to give. I've moved from science, I'm in the Bible now. On the way when they were moving and going, he was anxiously going to persecute in the name of helping God. Okay, he could hear a sound speaking to him. The people around couldn't hear anything. So the fact that you couldn't hear it, it is very important as a philosopher and a thinker and an academic, that when you cannot see or hear or touch or taste or smell as others are doing or someone else is doing, it doesn't mean the thing is not there. You're not knowing. In other words, knowing here meaning you're not seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, or smelling, say, God. Doesn't mean you should conclude that so he's not there or she's not there or that there is no entity like that. Who told you that? That is a cheap reasoning. You may not know who killed the man that has been killed that we haven't finished investigating. We may not know.
But it doesn't mean he was not killed. It could even mean he wasn't killed. It could even mean he's not dead. So our knowing and its limitations should not mean that reality is defined by you and I as minds. Who told you? So from the table to your religious beliefs, to your cultural background, to your notion of justice, which makes you throw bombs, etc., should tell you that you may have an idea of a thing which is so real to you, no problem about that. That cannot be taken from you because you know it. But the problem with what you think you know is when you try to impose that on the reality. So there are sometimes I ask questions like, a mother says, I have never known my son to be a thief. So he's not a thief. Mommy, I've never known my son to be a thief. So he's not a thief. And that is, the police have come home. They have evidence, so to speak, to come and arrest your son. The woman said, I don't know him to be a thief. So he's not a thief. Really? That's a mother's cry. We understand you, but mommy, stand aside. Go investigate your son. You may not know him to be a thief. That is a legitimate call. That is yours. You don't know him to be a thief. That's right. But to conclude, therefore, that he's not a thief goes beyond what you know. You are now making a statement of what is really the case. Now, someone will say, okay, so with this example, let's see how Russell do. So Russell, we may ask the hey, and how do we engage? Russell will say, so ask for the reality of it, whether this guy is really a thief or not. It could be that they are also accusing him wrongly, and mommy may be right. But it could be that mommy is wrong, and they have caught the thief. So can we ever know the reality, that is truth, metaphysics? Can we ever know the reality? Russell's answer is, as for the real nature of the physical object, that is, even if there is a physical object at all, we may never know. The answer is a may, not we cannot know. If you say we cannot know, you are speaking beyond what your knowledge tells you. What if it is true? Okay? So we don't say we cannot know reality. And we do not say we can know reality because you don't have evidence. The evidence you have is your perception of it, not everybody's. But the answer is, according to Russell, when it comes to the real nature of that physical object, we may never know. May. Because even if we encounter it, it will be tied to what? A knowing mind. Even if we encounter the real nature, we will know. It's a person that will encounter. It's my eyes, your eyes. So if my eyes encounters it, you cannot say that what I have encountered is the real. Maybe it is the real, but it will be Nancy that has encountered it, not Gifty. So Gifty may not see it the way I see it. All right. So that is the answer Russell would want us to give, that the real nature of a physical object, if there is one at all, always put it there, because there may not be. I've said it over and over and over again. There may not even be a real physical object there. It may just be an idea. That reality is in your mind, something that is disturbing you. You enter a room and the place is heavy. You see, there's some heaviness here. Or it looks like something is chasing you. Then someone is walking in the bush and starts running. Because she said, yes, she feels it's a snake. But there might not be a snake there. There might not be. It is so real to you. But there might not even be a physical object. If it is that real to you, how do we say it is not there? Are we the people feeling it? If someone says, the way I feel, the person is entitled to that knowledge. The only problem is if the person wants to force you to see it that way. Or the person says, as for God, it's the God that answers by fire. Because he revealed himself to Moses. I saw him as fire. So you say, therefore, God is fire. No problem. Only. You say, yes, that's what I saw. But if you saw him to be fire, doesn't mean he cannot be a dove. So we have to be careful when we impose from science to church to culture to family to human behaviors and characters. We can only show people what we see. Like I told you, Paul says, what I have handled, what I have seen, what we have seen, and no idea that's what we testify about. So that if you feel impressed, then you come and stand at our angle relative to the table. Maybe you will see what we have seen. But it can never be an imposition. Because for all you know, by the time we move around the table, we will all see the same thing. So we are going to walk through the slides. Even if we end the content here, it captures everything that you have read in Russell. Now we are going to look at the language, the sequence of reasoning, and then we'll engage. There to be a discussion. Okay, is what is experienced the same as what is there, according to Russell, not Plato. Because Russell has gone out of Russell is not doing world of reality versus world of, he's not doing metaphysics. He has come into an experiential world, a world that we experience stuff. Okay, table, we see things, we hear things. And he says the problem is still here. It hasn't even gone out. So in the physical world, we haven't solved our issues about knowing what is real. We don't need to even transcend the non-physical world at all. So he's not doing Plato. He is looking at the physical table, experiential world. And he's saying in a world where we see things, we may only have to agree and assume that, look, let's take it that they were table. Let's take it that this is what justice is. Let's take it that this is what the scientific theory is. Let's take it that COVID vaccine, this particular one, will help. Based on what? The various points of views that corroborate it, that agree with it. Let's see. So we are all in a room. Maybe I see the table to be square, another person sees it to be squarish green. This one is so the closest that we all in the room can agree on. Let's work with that for now. It may not be the reality. Why? Because we may never know if it is the reality. We do not have to deny the reality either, because it could be that is the reality. But we do not have to affirm it too, because it may not be. So let's stop talking certainty. Because when we say what certainly is the case, we'll be speaking metaphysics, which is not tied to a knowing mind. As soon as the truth is tied to it, becomes knowledge. What do you think of it? Okay, so if you remember the beginning, the painter, and it says as soon as the philosopher starts asking questions about its certainty, then the whole debate is thrown out. And it is that is the only thing that guides human society and all of us in our deliberations when we are so conclusive. As for the size of your womb, from the research I've done so far, the medical practitioner, this size of what is the thing? Fibroids cannot give you a child. You can't have a child. No, I can't. Straight. It's who they are sitting there. You can't. Not says who? We love our practitioners. We love research. But always remember that your research is based on what you know, knowledge. Based on what has been revealed to you by your search. You can never jump from that and conclude what is really there. I God. That is if you believe in God, and you should, as an ultimate cause. You see, so you can just say that, the research available doesn't support pregnancy for this. But people are still researching, so let's hope that we are able to. You speak that way, you are still speaking science. You haven't even gone to church. It's still scientific, because that's why you research. You go again and search. You come with some findings and go again and search. But when people are saying, this one, if you don't wear nose masks, you cannot leave, cannot. What happened afterwards? You see that? That is beyond the knowledge. You are now imposing dogma about a supposed reality that you yourself cannot substantiate. And that goes also for church folks, religious folks, I mean. When I say church, I mean religious folks who think that they have arrived. They know it all. So Paul, rise, kill and eat. Peter, rise, kill and eat. He says this is unclean. The guy says, Holy Spirit says, what you are seeing. And those who don't know that, you Google Peter, rise, kill and eat. The story. So you can have content for your examples. You say rise, kill and you say these things are unclean. Unclean is what you knew about the one you are working with. He's constantly speaking. You have to listen. Okay, let's use a home example. Mommy says, don't open the door after 8 o'clock. Okay, don't open the door. Even if someone knocks, don't open when I can open with my key. That is the law, yes. The mommy comes. Mommy is at the door. You are looking through the whatever out there. You can see her face. She says, I left my keys in the office. To open. He said, you said we should open the door at 8. I said, oh, but I am the one speaking to you now. He said, no. You said that's for after 8 today. We don't open the door. Oh, but look at me, man, mother. I've left my keys. He said, no, after 8 today. No opening of doors. I said, when I come, I'll open it myself. But I have left my keys. So look at my face. You can see me. I'm standing. He said, no, don't be. That's how sometimes we work with our father. We know more than him. He says, that shall not kill. Then I said, when you go kill all the people there, don't leave anybody. When you go, you are wiser than them. You leave some. Uncle Saul, Old Testament. They are coming to worship. And it says, obey. To obey is better than. So that was church. Then I went home. Then I can do some politics. We can say we are social democrats. But before long, we may revise. Or we may say property owning democracy. We can change based on what we are seeing differently. You can't insist on something and say that this is where we are standing. We are not moving. No, because the reality can show itself different. And so what? And so when we feel that we are so certain about matters, we should be guided. How the thing presented itself may be changing. The change required is not the thing. It's not the thing that has changed. The presentation, how it presents itself to you, may be changing. And when we are able to grasp that, then we'll understand that what we experience of a thing, in other words, is what is experienced the same as what is there? Definitely not. They are not the same. But what is the true nature of what is there? We may never know it. Excellent. Now, I want to take your questions, if you have any, before we read through. Any questions? Gift, go on. Go ahead.
Doc, please, the consent.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
You said what?
I said it's a consent.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, it's about the group project.
What has the group work done? Gift, let me finish teaching my content. I beg you. What has the group work done? We'll take questions on the pedagogy. Okay, let's look at the content proper. So that our video is not too lengthy. When it's too lengthy, it's difficult for you guys to play back. Okay, so I'll take all questions on who should have submitted, it's too late, it has closed, all that. Right now, I want to focus on questions on Russell. Okay, if we finish, I'll mop up. I could even cut the recording and then we can engage on those ones. Okay, so students should have questions on Russell. If you have any, please keep your hand up. Any question? Okay, so let's go through the slides quickly. Make sure we have covered everything. For read Japan, I would need you to kindly read for us. So we are reading on Russell's appearance versus reality. The question we are engaging is what is experience the same as what is there? We want Russell's response. I turn on to the third slide, reality and appearance. Please read for me. Reality
and appearance. Okay, madam. Reality and appearance. Mr. Russell. Key points. 1. Question. Is there any sensory knowledge that is so certain that we cannot doubt it? Note. Appearance and reality. What things is really may not necessarily be what it appears. What a thing is in reality may not necessarily be what it appears to be in a particular knowledge, in a particular mind at any point in time.
Okay, so let me read that. It's important that you get that well. What a thing is. You see that this is an is of being, entity. It captures an entity. Is the being of it. What a thing is, in reality, may not necessarily be what it appears to be. I said may not. We didn't say is not. Okay, if you say what a thing is is not what it appears to be. You have made a bold statement. How did you know that it is not? Have you encountered reality itself? You say, oh yes, but I've seen it to be. But what you seen it to be may not necessarily be what it is. Okay. So what a thing is may not necessarily be what it appears to be. It may be, but it may not. Okay. Remember the first question, what we are dealing with earlier there. Knowledge that is so certain. So knowing is knowledge. Certainty, metaphysics. Now, someone else read for me, please. The second one, I need let me take Edwin Edwards. I keep records of all of these. So you should, count it all joy when you are called. Those that will not read when they are called. What is Edwin Edwards? Go ahead. After that, we can take Mariam Sir, hand shutter. Edwin, read for me, please. Note 2, point of view.
Every act of knowing or sensing, seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, smelling, etc. is always tied to or connected to a knowing mind, bracket, a particular person's view in relation to that physical object.
Very good. I'm sure this is also clear from the earlier presentation. So when I know, that is empirical knowledge, it will always be tied to a knowing mind. Very good. Now the third one, the next slide. I'll need my lady that raised her hand to read. Mariam, sir, please read. Thank you, sir. Mariam, read now. After that, Wendy can take over.
Please, we can't see your screen.
Wait a little, it will come. It's your network. I have changed it. Madam, read, please.
Russell's point. The real shape or color of the thing is not what we see in sensation. Reality.
I'm coming now. So the real shape or color, and because he himself is cautious of the difficulty he will have if he's asked to show what do you mean by the real shape. So the real is in good. Check your text. You see, whenever he says the real shape, he tells you that, hey, I'm not talking about any reality that I can vouch for. So I'm using the word real advisedly. That's why it's in quotes. So the real shape or color of the table is not what we see in sensation. And it's going to show why he makes that case. I've already told you, this is now building up and mopping. So you can now relate to the earlier presentation I gave you and to help you understand it. Okay. Sensation is the seeing of the thing, the hearing of it, the touching of the table to feel its texture. I see. So when I'm seeing, I'm gathering sensations of color. I can be seeing and see a white dress. I can be touching and feel what? A smooth surface. I can be hearing and then gathering the sensation of the sense data of what? Loud music. So the process of gathering data here meaning what? Information qualities. That process, the ongoing process is what we call the sensation. Then the data I gather from it. So when I am hearing and I think it is loud, the loudness becomes the data. But hearing is what? The sensation. So you see, we'll get to sense data, sensation, and what? The physical object. So when I'm seeing, I am involved in what? Sensation of sight. And based on that sensation of sight, I'll gather the color red. So the color red now becomes what? Sense data. You have to know how to distinguish sensation from sense data. Continue, madam.
Okay. Reality, the physical table, is something inferred from what we actually see.
So we do not see, so we do not see the actual table, which is a physical object. We do not see it. What we see is what? We infer what we are seeing directly. So when we observe, I'm having sensations of texture, color, what have you, then I assume it by inference that it will be a table. It might not necessarily be a table. When we say put the pillow on the bed, do we really put the pillow on the bed or we put the pillow on a bed sheet, which is lying on a kilt, which is lying on it, then all the way before it gets to the bed? Do we say put the pillow on the bed sheet, which is lying on the kilt, which is lying on the mattress, which is lying on the bed? Is that how we speak? We just say put the pillow on the bed, put the microphone on the podium. Meanwhile, the podium depending on which church you are in or which home you are in, on the podium you will have some cover cloths and then some whatever, and the podium itself is sitting on something. But we don't speak with that detail. That is what Russell captures in this paper. We are speaking, we don't look into the detail. We make a lot of assumptions because we already know, we suppose, based on past experience and assumptions we make. We know, we take it that, oh, it is a table. Because after all, when I was standing at this angle in the room, I saw the shape to be rectangular. So if I go outside there and I'm viewing from outside, I still assume that it is rectangular. But if I were to report directly what I'm seeing based on my angle of the table, I will not call the shape I'm seeing a rectangle. Okay, so sensation is the direct or immediate observation. That is the seeing, ing, hearing, touching, tasting. Okay, then the data I gather, the color, the shape, the texture, the smell. I mean, I was telling your colleagues in class, some people put some perfume on themselves. You are even shocked that they put that thing on. You would have managed with your Kokolo Maja thing like that. The thing is so smelly and they feel. And it is her nose. She thinks it smells good. Okay? Some too cannot smell it. Armpit, strong scent. Has come to sit by you and is blowing tongues on you. Brother and sister in the Lord, you can't see it. Strong scent. Buy deodorant for the person or give the person ash and lemon with love. Tell them, Papa, you are switch behind your ears. I'm saying that the person cannot smell it. That's all I'm trying to say. Meanwhile, you are from at the front seat, at the last, you can smell. The person cannot smell it because it is his nose, it's not yours. That's what I said today. So we infer the sensation helps us to gather data. Based on the data gathered, we make inferences about the physical, supposedly physical table. But we never encounter the actual table itself, says Russell. Auntie, read this. I'll just be scrolling because everything I've said is there. When you finish, I'll move to the next slide. Just keep reading until I pause and come in. Okay? Continue.
Okay. But what we see is constantly changing as we move about the room, for instance, so that here again the senses seems not to give us the truth about the table itself, but only about the appearance of the table. Russell's terminology. 1. Sense data. Things, info or data that are immediately known in sensation. Example, color, sound, smell, hardness, roughness, and so on. 2. Sensation. The experience of being immediately, directly aware of these things, info or data. Example, seeing, hearing, tasting. 3. Physical object, the inferred, assumed to be real, table.
Thank you very much, Madam. I need some few of you to explain what you think of the earlier one, the sensation. I've already done the explaining, but I wish that someone will elaborate. Anyone able to do that? I call Wendy or Victoria.
Madam, please, can I go?
Yes, please explain and let me see. I'm not moving on to the next slide. So how do you understand sensation? I've said it already, but I want to see if you understand it.
Like, Madam, when you see something for the first time, the awareness like how you see it for the first time. Like when I see a table, the whatever I see on it for the first time, that's sensation. Like how I see the color for the first time, how I will see everything to be.
All right, my sister, well done. That's good. So when I'm sensing, yes, I'm in a live session. We are recording. So what I'm saying can be. All right. Thank you very much. You, Auntie, thank you. Thank you for the response. So I'm saying that to help you understanding, sense data. When I see it and I blink, if I'm looking at my lady who read right now, like I see her hair, maybe red, gold, green color hair, because Ghana is playing football and she's patriotic. So as I'm seeing the hair color, I'll be gathering sensation. I'm involved in what sensation, immediate awareness. However, when I blink like this, the red, gold, and green will be stored in my memory as what? The sensations of sight, which have become what? Data. So the sense data is what? Data gathered. That's what I put on the board. Data that is gathered in sensation. When I'm sensing, I gather that data. Color, texture. So if I say the thing is rough, the roughness, I gathered it was involved in what? The sensation of what? Touch. I'm touching like this. Then I gathered the data of what? Roughness. The orange is too rough. Then the data I've gathered is roughness. Now, based on the idea of roughness, squareness, brownness, four-leggedness, I say, oh, then it is a tape. Then I assume. Then I infer. So our inferences may be wrong. That is why the COVID vaccines sometimes do not work. Not because the people who don't know their job. That is why the meteorologists sometimes will say it will rain tomorrow. It doesn't rain, that day it shines. That's why the political scientists' research could falter. We are in a comfortable lead, and the people are out of the seat. I could give 1,001, moving from one discipline to the other. Why? Because the data gathered will always be subject to what the perceiver. Then the inferences drawn from that will be based on what we saw, how we analyze it, and how we are interpreting the supposed reality. It could fail. So the inferred or assumed reality is what? The physical. Therefore, what? Until read the last one, then someone else can continue. Well done. Read.
Russell's conclusion.
Yes.
It is evident that the real table, if there is one, is not the same as what we immediately experience by sight or touching or hearing.
Very
the
good.
real table, if there is one, is not immediately known to us at all, but must be an inference from what is immediately known.
Very good. So what is immediately known is the sense data. What we look at, what is immediately known, knowledge, is the data, information that is gathered, that is sense data. But the immediate awareness of a supposed reality is sensation, the direct awareness. So I'm watching, or I'm hearing, I'm tasting. It is ongoing. That is called sensation. But the immediate knowledge is data, it's stored. When it is stored, it is no longer ongoing. It has become information that you have put down. That's what sense data, immediately known to you, to me. That is the what? Sense data. Then, based on what is immediately known, we infer a physical reality that is supposedly there. It's a supposition, it may not be there. And Russell kept stressing, you look at the text, the reality, even if there is one, the real table, even if there is one, he kept saying for a reason. Not that he's saying that later on he'll say there has to be a table. Supposedly, there has to be a deduction. Whose ideas they are having? There has to be some reality there. There has to be. We have to assume that there must be something giving us those ideas. But the true nature of it, okay, with the shapes and size and quality and whatever we are saying. That's why we don't know. It could be a hallucination. It could be some bad thing I've done that is hunting me. It could be some depression. It could be a prophetic revelation. The person says, see Jesus giving A for all the students. All the students in the church, come forward. Me, I don't see it. Should I say it's not there? I can say that with confidence. I can say, maybe I don't believe it is there. That is me. That trust you. There's someone who say, I think it is there. That is the person. It's a thought. But you cannot speak concretely affirming something that you are not privy to. Neither can you speak concretely denying it. So Russell says, as for its true nature, we may never know. So let's work with what we are able to agree on, even from a different point of view. You see the point? Very, very seasonal paper. It is rich if you interpret it well. And he's not doing church. He's speaking church. He's speaking politics. He's speaking human relations. He's speaking psychology. The person has come to the office. He's not smiling. You want him to be like you because you this morning you just got 100 cities, so you're happy. So everybody should be happy. Who told everybody has the same mood that time? Because of the same news, because of Russia and Ukraine example, someone cannot sleep in Ghana here. She's not in Russia or Ukraine, but she cannot sleep because her relation, you see, the connection she has with that issue is stronger than what you have. You think it is some bad thing that is happening in the world. Oh God, save our world. In case that you eat your kinky and sleep. Her son is at, what's the name of that town? At the place that they are bombing. Every minute her heart is beating. You want her to laugh the way you are laughing. You see, so people, it's a serious matter. Asa says, we can only infer, oh, sorry about that. Is it true? Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. We appreciate you. We feel for you. This thing, we have all gone through it before. Who told you? You and who went through what? Tell the person that God be with you if you can and go. Also said, sorry, that's all. Don't come and do this one is nothing. And we went through it. As for marriage, you didn't go through it. If you went through it the way you went through it. Help the person by acknowledging that she is feeling something or he's feeling something that others cannot feel. And you understand that, or others may not feel. That's better. May not feel. That alone gives the person the help they need for that time. Don't go and make yourself like, I know it all. You are not God. All right. So it is evident that the real table, even if there is one, is not the same as what we immediately experience. Remember, if there is a real table, it won't be an idea in your head. That's why Berkeley will not admit that there's any table there beyond the idea, because ideas are not physical table. Do you write on the idea of the table? If I give you food to eat, will you go and put it on the idea of table? Uncle Plato. When Plato is testing, will he drink the idea of water? You see, so there is that practical difficulty with what? Reducing all reality to what? Mind and ideas. It might be the original, but we have a concrete world we are living in. So where do we place that? Okay, if you got that, then thank you very much, my dear sister. I get some good points put down for you. Where is Wendy? Wendy, come and continue. Your hand was up for reading. If you still want to read, go ahead. If not, then go ahead, Wendy. So I've changed the slide. Now you see that we have seen idealists again. It's idealists in connection to what Russell was doing. So let's see what he says and then we can finish. So is Russell idealist? Go ahead.
Yes, please.
Oh, and to read for me.
Russell idealist.
Uh-huh.
Yes, please. It's Russell idealist. Idealism. Idealists like John Locke, Bishop George Berkeley, Leibniz.
Lie.
Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, please. Thank you. Leibniz deny the existence of matter as opposed to the mind. There
To
can
mind.
be nothing.
I didn't put there.
To mind.
Uh-huh. It will help you.
Mind.
I just do that to help you. Uh-huh. So that you see that, sorry, let me help. So there are some people when they hear the mind, then they always think of mind as necessarily a physical substance. And then they will be thinking it's brain. That is why. So just say mind and it helps you. Okay, go on.
Yes, please. There can be nothing real, or at any rate, nothing known to be real, except minds and their ideas.
You know this already. You are the master idealist. Auntie, go on with this one.
Yes, okay. Idealist summarized. Whatever can be thought of is an idea in the mind of the person thinking of it. Therefore, nothing can be thought of except ideas in mind. Therefore, anything else is inconceivable, and what is inconceivable cannot exist.
Okay, so this is a crude version of what the idealist view. We made it crude, so it is easier for you to grasp. Then you can now do all the technicalities. So if the reality is thought of, if it's an idea, then it has to be in the mind, isn't it? So something that is not in the mind cannot be thought of. You can't even think of something that is not in the mind. As soon as you think of it, it is in the mind. Therefore, if it is not thought of, then it cannot exist. And therefore, you're welcome. And therefore, what exists is necessarily ideas. Okay, and to add this one.
Okay. Reality may never be known. So philosophers, idealists, and all may be agreed that there is or there must be a physical table. But what its true nature is, the reality of it, is what for Russell may never be known. Yes.
Okay, do you see the King James version I put? This is the King James version of it right up there. So philosophers, idealists, and all thinkers. Just like we say that if there is an effect, then there must be a cause. There must be something that caused something that has happened. And whatever happened must have been caused. You see that? So if we have ideas must be of something. You don't have ideas of nothing. Even if it is a hallucination, it is something you've created in your mind. If it's an imagination, it's something you've created in your mind. So you're having ideas of that. Okay, so ideas must be of something. Whatever that thing is, we can't tell. That is the point Russell is making. Take note, reality may never be known. So he's saying all philosophers, generally speaking, will agree that there is or there must be a substance. Because of Descartes, you can't say substance. There must be something that is giving us those ideas of the shape, of the sense, of the sound you hear. Why is the person running? He's hearing a sound. Meanwhile, she's lying on the bed. And then all of a sudden she gets up and she's running because she hears something like a lion roaring at her. You see, but there's no lion in the room. A nice, cozy environment. But then the girl gets up and she's running. Those of you who like dreaming that something is chasing, that one is even a dream. So we may say that sometimes the person is just lying. That's when people start saying, no, girl, and all that. The point is, there has to be something anyway that is giving you the supposed ideas. So that one may not easily be contested. They won't argue about it, whether idealist, whatever, materialist, physicalist, realist, whichever label you give them. There might be a consensus on that. But the issue is what its true nature, whatever it is, that is giving us those ideas and qualities. What its true nature is. Look at that it's italicized. It's of being, it's of entity. I'm describing the thing's nature. Whatever the true nature of that thing is, that is the reality of it. It's what Russell says. We cannot know. I'll give you wrong. I'll ask you. That's why I've been stressing it. We may never know, because knowing is what? Epistemology. Reality of the thing is what? The metaphysics of it. So it may be there. It's just that we do not know or cannot know or have not known it. Okay? But you cannot deny the supposed reality because you do not know it now. So will you consider Russell to be an idealist? Over to you, Joe Lati. Thank you very much, Wendy. Did a good job on that. Let's take someone else. Victoria Kafui. Go ahead, Vicky. Go, Vic.
Summary of Russell.
Thank you.
If we take any common object of the sort that is supposed to be known by the senses, what the senses immediately tell us is not the truth about the object. as it is apart from us.
Hold on.
But only
Hold on, let me explain. Hold on, sister. That's good. I want to explain so that it's clear in your mind. Okay. The highlighted portions are for emphasis. So take note. So we are summarizing Russell. So it means for Russell, if we take any common object of the sort that is supposed to be known by the senses. In other words, we are talking about sensory objects, physical objects that we should suppose that we come to know them by the senses. How do we know this physical thing? By seeing it, hearing it, touching it, tasting it, empirical knowledge. That's what it's saying. If we were to take any such object known by the senses, according to Russell, what the senses immediately, that is directly, tell us is not the truth about that object independently of us. Apart from us here means detached from us or disconnected from us. No, it's not a certain truth that is not connected to us. I say that again. So what the senses directly tell us about such an object like the table is not something that is detached from us. It's not a certain truth that is detached. It's a truth that is relative to us, the person observing. Okay. And the person observing may be myself alone or a collection of us. So maybe we are all academics. So we view things from that perspective. See how sometimes it's difficult to teach certain groups of people because of their background. And then if we're all scientists and we're all at the lab, how we interpret something will be different from if we included lay people like us at the place there. The kind of questions we ask will be troublesome. They were at a certain type of church with a certain doctrine, and then a new person comes that doesn't share that doctrine. You will see that we'll struggle because we don't share a common perspective. Now, that is where Russell is going, trying to make others see from the perspective that we see it. Still minded that how we see it may be wrong all this while, but at least that is what we know for now. Okay? So he says, what the senses immediately tell us is not the truth about the object as it is apart from us. But what? Let us continue.
But only the truth about certain sense data, which is so far as we can see, depend upon the relations between us and the object.
That is good. That is, but only the truth about certain sense data, which so far as we can see, is a way of speaking. So far as we can see, it depends upon the relation between us and the object. I've said that to us. That's Ante. Continue.
Thus,
continue. Yeah.
what we directly see and feel is merely appearance, which we believe to be a sign of some reality behind. But if the reality is not what appears, have we any means of knowing whether there is any reality at all?
Very good. Practical lesson. Sister Reed. You see that we left it as a question? I have given so many instances to help people see. Oh, Priscilla's hand just shut up. So, Vicky, thank you. Well, let me take Priscilla. Well done. Priscilla, yeah, go ahead. Practical lesson.
Practical lesson.
Yes.
Russell appeals to an urge to practice knowledge responsibly, that in order to make statements or hold beliefs about sensory knowledge, we must be able to substantiate that our knowledge is faithful to reality. More importantly, we must bear in mind that our supposed knowledge of the reality may only be a point of view, not the reality.
Very good. Well done. So remember all the various examples I gave, from religious to cultural to, political to whatever is dear to your heart. Just find a place to apply the idea of what? Point of views, knowing, reality, claims that are imposing on others, etc. And then make this meaningful. I told you about the woman who says, my son has never been caught stealing. I have never known him to be it. He cannot be the thief.
Go and look for the gifts. Look on Mama. We are the other. It's so sad. But this is idealism. Reality versus appearance. Not in a way that the woman is wrong. No, it might be true that the son has never been caught stealing. Yes, doesn't mean he's not a thief. The same way, we could also have someone who perhaps has been stealing and stealing and stealing and stealing and has stopped. People change. But because you have perceived them to be something all this while, you want to label them as what the thing is. In other words, they are like that, but they might not be. So it goes both ways. Russell advises that we cautiously check where it can even be a collective society, like the Nazis, for example, then in the past, chasing a certain group of people and making sure that they go extinct. It wasn't one person perceiving them to be a threat to humanity. It was a collective. And yet we were wrong. We were all thinking that the sun, the earth is in the center of the universe. Geocentric. We collectively as humanity were wrong. We all crucified the Savior. We were wrong. So it's not even a you versus I. It can be a collective us having a point of view. What we are advised to do, and what this one practically helps us to do, is to apply caution when we are even very confident in our point of view. We want to apply caution when we are imposing it on others, or when we are being asked to shift and view from another perspective. That is what the philosophical training aims to do at this level. All right, let's read the last, these are just quotes to keep in mind and interrogate as we go. Any hands to do that quickly? And we are done. Great. Now, Milamte, read the first one to your left for us. Let's see.
Your perception may not be my reality.
Very good. Your perception may not be my reality, especially if that perception is a negative one. If your mommy thinks of you as a good, great international, businesswoman, but then you say, no, this is your perception there. It's not my reality. My reality is no go feel movement. Then that one is not good. But when the person's perception of you seems to make it, she's just a woman. When I was just some young lady now. Your perception of her may not be a reality. So don't stop looking at people and thinking the way the guy has a bushy hair and his short is, I think it's down there. So I think that the phone that is missing, the office look for him. Maybe the only shot he has is that one. A friend gave him. He's bigger than him. He's not officer. Maybe. You see? So you are quickly imposing your perception onto the person's reality and making judgments based on that and employing and marrying a whole lifetime based on perception. If you could just have a point of view, interrogate the supposed reality a little bit more, you may have a change of mind. Let's hear. Now, thank you, Naomi. That was Gilbert. Please read the second one. Oh, Gilbert, we are waiting. I'm muted, Gilbert.
Reality is merely an illusion.
Read the second one. Yes, I can hear you now. Go on. Gilbert, go on, please.
Hello, Doc.
Yes, brah. Please read for me.
An illusion.
Yes, reality is merely an illusion. For some, because they cannot interpret the real nature of certain things, like God, for example, they will say there is no God. It's just an illusion. Well, but you and I know what the Bible says to do. To believe that, I'm sure there will be other scriptures that also would support what the Bible says to the one who says there is no God. And the only reason for saying that is they cannot see, hear, touch, taste, or smell God. So it means he's not there. The Bible says only a capital F ending with an L says so. Thank you very much, sir. Esther Pearson, Please read the third one. They are all just wise sayings. I mean, people's quotes we are interrogating. Go ahead.
Since we cannot change reality, let us change the eyes, which is reality.
Which is reality. So you may not be able to change. There are some people, sister. You can teach them class 4. If you ask him 7 plus 2, you still say 72. There's nothing. 7 plus 2, you're going 72. That's his teacher. Whatever. The guy cannot do the math. Okay? Not because he wants it to be so, but give him football on the field. He knows that 7 goals plus 2 goals is equal to 9 goals. That one he knows. He won't say it's 72. But when you put the 7 on the paper and put plus in the middle and write 2 next and ask him what is the answer, he will tell you 72. So if for such a scenario, since we cannot change what is real, really there, we can only change the eyes that we are using to see what is real. So you may tell yourself that my boy, I think that he's a football type. So he will go to the school, but I'll give him a chance to play his football. And still allow the child to evolve into what he or she is meant to be. Next one. We have 3 more slides. Very good. I see all the answers. Emmanuel Clayson, please read the next one. Then I can take Udru Isaac afterwards.
Perception is real, even when it is not reality.
Thank you very much. I told your friends, and I like to do that. Jesus asked his people, who do men say I am? When you are a boss and you are not interested in what people are saying, you say, media, I know that what I'm doing is what I'm doing. You have a big issue on your hands. You don't want that to dictate to you, but you want to know, because sometimes the perception is what is influencing the actions people are taking, either positively or negatively. So you are once in a while you stop and ask, this thing I'm doing. So I told your friend, so let me tell you also, you are the only lady in that hostel that this man with his big tummy, rich and down, he's not a relative. He drops you all the time, late in the evening, comes to pick you all the time in the morning. The man is a mad man. You enter his car all the time in your skimpy something dress and come back in your skimpy dress, another version of it. So it means you've changed your dressing, different from what came to pick you. Weekends here, the same person picks you, brings you in the morning. There might be nothing, maybe there is not, maybe it's your prayer partner. Hey, prayer in his skimpy dressing prayer. But I'm telling you that perception will rub on you. You see, it might not be real, but people are entitled to how they interpret what they are saying. We just learn that. You can't change it. So for all you know, the next day, the wife is the chief executive of a certain company, paying big, and you go and sit on that panel, one job to do there. When maybe truly, the man is just a friend, 12 midnight. You don't care. Okay, so perception is real, even when it is not reality. That is what this means. It admits that it is not the reality, but it is real. So real, why? To the person doing the viewing. To be is to be perceived for. As they see, they gather and put down. This girl, don't let her come here. Okay. Next one. Thank you very much. Next one. I mentioned the name. I think it was Isaac.
Perception and reality are 2 different things.
Exactly. We have established that they are 2 different things. Knowledge is connected to perception. Reality is connected to metaphysics. Yet, people jump from knowing to the reality. Then the very last one. Let me take the last one and end the video. Who hasn't speak? Comfort you are. Can you read for me? Last one. Until
the world of reality has its limits. The world of imagination is boundless.
It's boundless. Thank you very much. What is really there may be limited, but your imagination. Here it is talking about reality as in what we immediately perceive.
Okay, not a philosophical one, but it is a quote around that. So I've brought it in to help you. Maybe reality is that tomorrow I don't know what you eat. Even this data, you know, that is the supposed reality immediately known to you. By your imagination is boundless. There is no restriction. When we looked at mind and body, I told you your mind can do wonders. You can just be creating positively, not creating how to jam somebody's wall and then God forbid that for anyone. Okay, so those were just some quotes to end you, and that takes us to the end of here. You see lecture 2, but the content property is the second one, I think. But if you split it, we have done mind-body problem, we've done idealism, we've just finished Russell's reality versus appearance, and we did our introduction, which had content that I can examine you. You know, about 4 already delivered. I'll pause our video recording and then I'll take questions with the rest of our time. We still have over 30 minutes. If we don't have to use all, we won't. But I pause the recording now. All right. Now give me your